Hello and welcome to Newscentre. I'm Parikshit Luthra. The top story we are tracking this evening: government officials are set to brief the Parliamentary Committee on Foreign Affairs days after the United States hit India with 50% tariffs. President Donald Trump has alleged that India was fueling Moscow's war machine by buying Russian oil. The Indian ambassador to the US, Vinay Quatra, has also spoken to Republican Senator Lindsey Graham as the government attempts an outreach with lawmakers close to the White House. Remember, the senator previously advocated for a 100% tariff on buyers of Russian oil. Graham said on Friday that India should improve ties with the US by helping to end the war in Ukraine. Sources have said that India told US officials that crude oil purchases from US have increased by over 70% in 2025 and assured that crude oil and LNG purchases will only rise. Indian officials also reiterated that India is not the only buyer of Russian crude oil. To take this discussion forward, we're now joined by Ambassador Deepak Bhojwani, former Indian ambassador to Latin America, and Einar, Tangen, senior fellow at Taihe Institute. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us on the program. Ambassador Bhojwani, what real options does India have at this stage? There is an outreach going on. We're trying to explain the US administration that, listen, we do have a strategic partnership with Russia, but at the same time, we are increasing our oil and gas purchases. Do you think India will be able to clinch some sort of agreement and reprieve from the 25% additional penalty before the 27th of August?
Hard to say. A lot depends upon how Mr. Trump sees the situation. The reports that I'm reading, I have no first-hand news. The reports I'm reading in the media are that our imports from Russia of crude oil have already dipped somewhat in July and may even dip further in August. It's hard to say. The government has not said anything about this except for saying that we will consider our national interest first and foremost. The Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas and the oil importing companies, all of our companies import crude oil, a lot of them, most of them from Russia anyway. We also import from other sources, but they haven't said that they have been told or explicitly instructed not to import oil. The private companies, of course, will make their own decisions, mainly Reliance and Nayara, which in any case is owned by Rosneft. But the Indian state oil companies will normally follow the indication given by the government of India for importing Russian crude. I personally think that there may be a bit of a slowdown to sort of test the waters and see whether Mr. Trump will give in eventually and not hike up the tariff to the extent of 25% as he has sort of indicated he will do, because we're purchasing Russian crude. But on the other hand, I think are committing in any way, even informally, that we will never purchase Russian crude till Mr. Trump tells us that we can do so, is not on the cards. On the other hand, there is a summit between Mr. Trump and Mr. Putin. Who knows what will happen there? So it's very difficult to call. As of now, we've indicated that we will do what is in our national interest. By the way, we also have other options. I mean, the crude oil market is very fluid. I understand that the production isn't going down in any significant manner. If anything, it may well be going up after the Saudi decision. So in that case, there will be plenty of oil around to be purchased, and we have traditional sources. The question will be one of price. Do we pay a little bit more, maybe $1 or $2 per barrel, to import from Saudi Arabia or Iraq or wherever else? So let's see what happens in the days and weeks to come.
Right. Let me also go across to Einar Tangen. Einar Tangen, while the US has slapped additional tariffs on India for buying Russian oil, they've not done so on China for now. Lindsey Graham was one of the senators in the US who had been calling on the US administration to take action against countries like China and India. Clearly, the US is making a differentiation, but how is China preparing in case there's any kind of penalty or action by the US?
Well, I think China's in a different position. And as you've heard J.D. Vance say, that he, when he was asked, why are you hitting on India, which is supposed to be your ally, and being so nice to China, he says, well, basically they have more cards that India doesn't. I think this is a slight. I think there's a fundamental misreading. I understand that there's people think that this is just about Russian oil. I disagree. This is about the BRICS. You look at all of the BRICS, all of them are under enhanced tariffs. Brazil, 50%, South Africa, 30%, India, 50%. These are well above everything, and there's been threats against Russia and also China, but those haven't materialized. What you see here is a classic playground bullying. And why are they going after, the BRICS? Well, quite frankly, the BRICS scares America. The idea that 40% of the world's GDP, the majority of resources, land, people, markets, and manufacturing would somehow come together, tell the United States to knock it off, or there would be consequences, is something that Donald Trump fears. He's made it very clear. He said, anybody who gets near them, and I'll throw on another 10%. And if they do anything about attacking, substituting the dollar, it's another 100%. Well, I would love to play poker with Donald Trump because he has a lot of tells. Anything he's afraid of, he makes some bombastic statement about. So I think that people in India should really start thinking a little bit more about the larger picture and what it is, because it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. They're not hitting Turkey for this, and they're certainly not hitting the EU, which is the one who's buying the oil from Turkey, and also India. So it doesn't make any sense. Trying to make sense of it and not seeing the larger picture, I think, is missing the point.
Right. Going across to you, Ambassador Bhojwani, very important summit between Russia and US coming up in Alaska on 15th. How important will this be for India-US negotiations as well?
I'm not sure if that would come into play, but yeah, it's important for the world as such, because anything that lessens the tensions and gives Mr. Trump an excuse to ease up. I think he's looking for an excuse. He wants a way out. He's painted himself into a corner by saying he'll do this and that to Russia. I think a lot of it is bluster, but he may well go ahead and do something drastic and stupid. He's been known to do that. The point is, how much Russia will, how much will Russia give in on the stand it's taken, on Ukraine, not joining NATO, on the territories it has and has incorporated into Russia, and that must be recognized, and so on and so forth, and on the sanctions, because that would be important to us, because if Trump agrees to lift some sanctions, that could be a tremendous relief for us and for the rest of the world. But it's hard to say what will happen. I believe from Trump's body language and from his actual language that there may have been something cooked up already, although it's hard to say. But I think we should try and see if we can be optimistic about this. It's not too far away, a few days away. Let's see what happens. I believe Mr. Trump and his team may have got a sense that they can't push Russia too far. And Trump is looking not for a win here, but for a way out. And Zelensky and Europe, obviously, we've seen from their statements that they're really worried. Zelensky is still claiming absurdly that he's not going to give up any Ukrainian territory. Let's see how far he goes with that.
Right. We've run out of time, but thank you very much, Ambassador Bhojwani and Einar, Tangen, for joining us for that important perspective. We're taking a break here on Newscentre. On the other side, the Supreme Court ordering the rounding up of all stray dogs in the National Capital Region and moving them to shelters within 8 weeks. A special discussion when we're back.